If you don't remember, The Passion of the Christ was a movie that came out a couple of years ago now that was a rather gory and historically accurate depiction of the last few days of Jesus' life. Well, at the beginning of December, we showed a much edited version of this movie to our 7th and 8th grade confirmation students. We had the confirmation kids sit here in the sanctuary. We had a big 10-foot screen all set up. And as I sat with them on Sunday evening and began to watch, I couldn't help but notice the Christmas trees on either side of the screen. Here we were getting ready for Christ coming as a baby, and at the same time watching him being tortured and hung on a cross. Listen again to the words from Hebrews. It makes good sense that God, who got everything started and keeps everything going, now completes the work by making the pioneer of their salvation perfect through suffering, as he leads all the people to glory. Since the one who saves and those who are saved have a common origin, Jesus doesn't hesitate to treat them as family, saying, "I tell my brothers and sisters all that I know about you. I will join them in worship and praise to you." Again, Jesus puts himself in the same family circle as he says, "Even I place my trust in God." And yet again, Jesus says, "I'm here with my children that God has given me." Since the children are made of flesh and blood, it's logical that the Savior took on flesh and blood in order to rescue them by his death. By embracing death, taking death into himself, he destroyed the devil's hold on death by freeing all those who cowered throughout their life, scared to death of death. It's obvious, of course, that he didn't go to all this trouble for angels, but for people like us, children of Abraham. That's why he had to enter into every detail of human life. Then, when he came before God as high priest to get rid of the people's sin, he would have already experienced it all himself, all the pain, all of the testing, and would be able to help where help was needed. From Hebrews 2. The vulnerable God child whose birth we celebrate at Christmas is the one who pioneers our salvation through suffering. A friend of ours told us a story of her 3-year-old's comment at a Christmas Eve service a few years back. The lights were out as the candles began to light the sanctuary. It was almost silent as Mary and Joseph walked down the main aisle. They do it much similar to the way we do it on Christmas Eve. And it was almost silent in the sanctuary just before the organist began to play Silent Night. And her little 3-year-old, kind of standing next to her on the pew, says, of course, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Mommy, don't they know he's going to die at Easter?" Of course, this 3-year-old wasn't telling the congregation anything they didn't already know. We all know that Jesus came to die. But at Christmas, we talk about peace and joy and love and hope, not torture and death. Watching the Passion of the Christ on a screen framed by Christmas trees isn't wrong. It's just something we don't usually do. Christmas is about neatly decorated trees, about a pleasantly plump man with a white beard and a red suit. Why? Because blood and guts might sell movies, but it doesn't inspire kids to hop on a lap and ask for another toy. You see, Santa replaced the baby Jesus as a symbol of Christmas long ago because eventually, when you're thinking about that baby Jesus, you, like the 3-year-old, get to the Jesus who dies at Easter, the one who says, make sure that the poor have food and a roof over their heads all year long, not just toys for their kids at Christmas. You see, Jesus just isn't good at selling stuff. Do you want to know what the number one goal of the marketing industry is? It's to make us unhappy. When we watch TV, we see people that are having a great life. And on either the TV sitcom or whatever, or the commercial, and they tell us how there's something in their life that is really the root source of their happiness. And then our minds begin to work, and we start to think, wow, I really would be much happier if I only had a magic bullet. You know, those little blenders that you go 1, 2, 3, and they work. Or our minds continue to work, and we start to wonder, maybe I really do have restless leg syndrome. Marketing leads us to expect things to be part of a happy life. Here's an equation that I think gets at what I'm talking about. Unhappiness is equal to the difference between reality and expectations.